People who don't get it, clearly Disney and the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Kevin Feige. When Kevin Feige told us back in 2018, 2019, that phase 4 and phase 5 of the MCU, they're going to focus less on entertaining people and what fans want and more on diversity, more on representation, more on bringing these characters into the MCU that had failed time and time and time again in the comic books. And now they're learning that that may have been a mistake and it may be too far for them to turn back now because Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, despite what we heard from the mainstream media, oh my gosh, the biggest opening in the franchise history. If you were listening to us, we were telling you that this was going to happen, but I don't even know if we knew it was going to be quite this bad. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania will likely finish its global box office run with under $500 million. Now, the break even on this movie with a $200 million budget, a massive marketing budget, all the box office theater cut that they don't get, we're talking around $600 million. That's probably what it needed to make to even think about breaking even. Now we're learning it's not even going to get to $500 million. It's not going to pass the second Ant-Man. It's not even going to pass the first Ant-Man, which ended at about 523. And in fact, you look at projections right now, and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, which for the record is a freaking incredible movie.
Yes, it is.
That's going to make more money, likely, in its entire box office run than Ant-Man and the Wasp does. It doesn't get much worse for Marvel, especially when you factor that it's not just some random movie that got thrown in. It's the beginning of phase 5. It has been hyped up as, oh, you have to watch this for Kang because he is the next Thanos. He is better than Thanos. And it's a failure for Marvel.
It is a failure for Marvel. We were 100% right, and we're going to continue to call things out as we see them. This is a bad situation for Marvel, and the disease known as social justice is now taking a serious grasp on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You go back, to how it was after Endgame. Again, record-breaking numbers, insane hype, regardless of how you feel about Endgame. And I'm still someone that really enjoyed Endgame. I really liked it a lot. It wasn't as good as Infinity War, and there's a lot of problems with that movie. I will not argue against the problems, but I did enjoy everything they did. With that said, it created a lot of problems for the universe. It really did. Like, it created a lot of problems from a storytelling standpoint, and a lot of questions that you really can't answer. All those things can be overlooked, though, if you're still, doing right by the fans. But the clear focus for identity politics with the Marvel Cinematic Universe shows, with the movies, with everything that we've seen, this most recent phase for Marvel has been a disaster, and we've seen diminishing returns consistently with the box office returns. And now you get to something like Ant-Man. Ant-Man can be a successful franchise. It can be a successful movie. Paul Rudd in the role is fine, but it needs everything else working in order for it to be maximizing its potential, and it's not. And this is why
you can't
something
make it a $200 million budget movie.
Right.
Like you can't. Like, if with that type of budget and the type of money they're spending, that means it needs to do Ant-Man and the Wasp numbers for it to break even.
Right.
When you're doing these movies at $130 million a pop, then your $600 million Ant-Man movie, that's a solid profit that you're making. That's a solid number. You can work with that. You can continue to build off that. In the same way that Puss in Boots, if that ends $475, $500 million worldwide, that's hugely profitable because that only costs $80 or $90 million. That's why these Minions movies make incredible money, because they're keeping these budgets under control and giving people something that they like. A good combination. But when you're doing the opposite, when you have inflated budgets and shoving shit down people's throats that they don't want and they don't like, you're in a position where Disney's at. That they were going to hype it up, everybody go watch the first weekend, then it would die off like all the other ones. And that is now the new normal for Marvel, because it's not getting good word of mouth. People aren't giving it a chance like they used to.
And we told you this was happening. The MCU, as Gary has continued to say, make Marvel male again. Shout out to Chris Gore. This is what's happening with Marvel, and it's not getting better anytime soon. Guardians is going to come out. Guardians is probably going to get overwhelming praise across the board, and the narrative will shift that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in perfectly great shape. Everything's fine, yada, yada, yada. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. It will be good, I think, and it will be successful, and it will be a very profitable film, more than likely. But that doesn't change anything about the MCU. Just like Spider-Man No Way Home changed nothing about the MCU.
There's a reason that when they did these things in the comic books, it failed time and time again.
Yep.
The fans told you what would work. You didn't listen. You wanted to push identity politics. You made this yourself, Kevin Feige. Now you got to deal with it.